For more now on Israel's war efforts and priorities, ABC News Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman joins us live now from Tel Aviv. Matt, I know you've seen, many conflicts, many wars in Israel, and you're covering this one for us as well. And I know you've also been talking to some of the senior leadership in the Israeli Defense Forces. What's the next step? What should we expect?
We expect some significant incursion in the coming days, just as Inez said, Terry. The question is when, the question is how deep, how expansive is this incursion? Does it comprise all of the Gaza Strip? And from the cabinet ministers I've been speaking to and the military officials, it seems like no. It looks like there will be minor incursions. Israel will take a parcel of land, a piece, clear it, try to hunt for the tunnels, try to hunt for Hamas fighters, and then come back out. The one message I'm getting unanimously from Israeli officials, military, political as well, is that this is going to be a long war. There will be many casualties on both sides. So what we've been seeing so far, 1,400 dead in Israel, over 3,500 Palestinians killed. This is just the beginning, and they're talking about months here, and perhaps a campaign lasting for years down the future. You just mentioned it, but the anger in Israel cannot be underscored enough. Every minister who I spoke to, including the former head of Israel's internal security, said, we will hunt the people who are responsible for October 7th down wherever they are in Gaza or the rest of the world, Terry.
Well, let me follow up on that, Matt, because Israelis, I imagine, Americans certainly would not tolerate the threat that struck them so awfully just a couple of weeks ago, surviving in Gaza. And we have heard reports that the war aim is to destroy Hamas. Can they do that by just, these raids, ground raids that blow up tunnels and maybe get a leader here and there? Don't they have to root it out, just from the ground up?
I think that they're trying to take the experience of the United States, of Israel and Lebanon in 1982 into account as well. Taking over a large civilian population that has massive animosity towards you and huge grievances lasting decades is a very dangerous thing. Israel knows that very well, and they cannot afford to make another catastrophic mistake. Gaza is going to be booby-trapped. There are going to be IEDs, VBIEDs, vehicle-borne IEDs everywhere. Hamas has had decades to prepare, and certainly the past couple of weeks to get ready for this. So they know that they're going to encounter massive resistance, so they have to be extremely careful, especially after that debacle of October 7th. As one major general told me a couple days ago, he said, the pace is going to be slow. We're going to take our time. And I think that's why everybody keeps talking about this as a long war, a completely changed dynamic. In addition to that, parts of Gaza are going to be taken away. They're basically creating a 40-mile-long buffer zone, a mile deep into Gaza. That's just a start. It's going to be a free fire zone, so anybody who comes in there is going to be shot. So Gaza is going to be even more dangerous than it ever has been, Terry.
And a really big task facing the Israeli Defense Forces, and dangerous, as you point out. And Matt, while you're on the ground there in the Middle East, I guess you've been able to speak directly with some of the leaders of the Israeli forces. What are they saying about rescuing the hostages?
Now, it seems like that is secondary right now. And, I'm being very careful in how I put it. But the former head of Israel's security services, the Shin Bet, Avi Dichter, who's the agriculture minister, told me today that getting rid of Hamas is the first and last priority. And let's take a listen. I pressed him on the issue of the hostages. But again, Hamas, he said, comes first. The tunnels are all over Gaza right now. That's where they keep the weapons, the fighters, the hostages. What is the fight in the tunnels going to be like?
The tunnel is going to be the biggest cemetery in the world.
But if the hostages are in there, and well, Israeli soldiers, I've been told, are not going to go in the tunnels, they'll set a trap.
We shall do all efforts to bring our hostages back alive. Those who are alive, of course. And when you fight...
But the first priority is taking out Hamas and taking out those tunnels.
First priority and last priority is to demolish and destroy the military infrastructure of Hamas.
And Terry, there is great concern that many of those hostages who are in those tunnels, that's where we are told the majority of them are being held by Hamas and other Islamic groups there in Gaza are being held, that they are not going to survive. So among the families here, there is enormous anxiety tonight about the fate of their loved ones. Terry.
What a terrible choice they face. And as he says, they're going to turn it into the largest cemetery in the world. A grim description of what's coming ahead. Matt Gutman, thanks very much for all your reporting. Thanks for being with us.